All right, guys, we'll get started very soon. Just let me know if you can hear me, and I'll get started. All right, guys, we'll get started very soon. Just let me know if you can hear me, and I'll get started. All right, so here we go. Well, thank you for showing up today, this fine evening. Today, this is the Workshop Wednesday. We try to do these once a month. Been doing them for the last 5 or 6 months now. And today's topic is Intro to Networking. So if you see the screen and it looks like something you're not supposed to be at, then maybe you want to stick around anyway. But I really like these workshops, and really what they're all about is to provide a way for me to engage you guys a little bit more with different kind of content. That it goes for probably like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and then we really just rush into Q&A. And if you want, you can pretty much ask any questions in the live chat throughout the whole presentation, and I will try to answer them at some point, or either during the presentation if it feels right, or wait till the end and try to pick up any direct questions that you guys might have. The other thing I'd say is definitely stick around until the very end. I'm going to have a link at the very end of the presentation that's going to, excuse me, be for downloads of both the slides of tonight's presentation, so you can reference them again if you want, and also an extra special sort of workbook to help you get your networking going on the right foot. So really excited about tonight's workshop, and here we go. So like I said, the Workshop Wednesdays are brief and informative sessions to help evolve your architectural career. And really what they are is sort of one-off topics that we get to dive into a little bit deeper through this sort of video format. And this is brought to you by AIA Buffalo, Western New York Emerging Professionals, and Evolving Architect, which is, as you know, my blog and my sort of place to really bring sort of content to designers and architects who want to change the way their career paths are for the better. And really what this is to oops, sorry. Let me know if you guys are getting some feedback. I feel like I'm getting some extra audio feedback here for some reason. I just want to know that everything's okay for you guys. Are you just hearing me once, or are you hearing me multiple times? Everything good? Okay, good. Thanks. At least you guys aren't hearing me twice then. I'll just keep going then. So I'm Mike LaValle, and I've basically been really interested in helping emerging professionals and architects alike to change the way that their careers are going, like I said, and I'll be your presenter for tonight. So what I like to do with these is just start off with, you're in the right place if you want to know the best ways to expand your professional network. You're looking for new connections in order to advance your current situation, whether that's a personal situation or a work situation. And you're just awesome and genuinely want to be better, want to better your career by meeting new people. And I think that if you're here, that says something really good about you anyway, because you are taking the step to grow and understand new things. And I really appreciate you being here. So, like I said, tonight's topic is intro to networking. And really, what we'll be talking about is everything that, we'll talk about an introduction to pretty much what is networking. We'll get into some case studies and some other ways of understanding networking. And I hope that by the end of tonight, you'll sort of understand why it's important to network, how you can network, and where you can network and who you can network with. So I really like this quote: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. I think one of the first things that's really important to understand about networking is that it's really about community. It's about extending the community that you have, whether it be, again, it can be social or professional. It's about creating new types of connections with other people. Connection issues. Okay. Can everybody having connection issues, huh? I'm seeing that people are having connection issues in the chat. Let's see if I can do something about that. Let me know if you guys are getting some feedback. I feel like I'm getting some extra audio feedback here. I just want to know that everything's okay for you guys. So is everybody having issues then? It seems like there's something going on here. Are we back now? Is it okay? I think one person says it's okay. All right, good. Let me know if you have any other issues. Apologize for any issues that we're having. The one thing I would say is that if I'm going to basically take this whole thing, I'm recording this locally on my computer. So I will have a fully high quality edited version for you guys to look at later. If there are additional issues, I apologize for any of that. So I guess just keep that in mind, that we should be good to go moving forward though. Okay. So the one thing I think about is that our lives are chaotic, and so are the lives of those around us. I mean, we are doing so many things and everybody's moving so fast that we really don't take a lot of time to sort of look around and really engage sometimes with those around us, because we're sort of, head down and really trying to just get our own lives in order. And sometimes it can feel like you're on your own. Sometimes you can feel like you don't fit in, or you don't have the right types of connections with other people in the profession, or sometimes you just are lonely and you want to make connections with people. So networking 101, I guess, is sort of the first part that we'll talk about. And the first thing I think about is, what is networking, right? If we're going to get down to it, what is it? And networking technically is a socioeconomic business activity by which business people and entrepreneurs meet to form business relationships and to recognize, create, or act upon business opportunities, share information, and seek potential partners for ventures. Well, that's a little bit stuffy, right? I mean, that's a great definition, but it's probably a little bit too dry for what we're talking about. Instead, think about it this way: networking, just at a very fundamental level, equals relationship building, right? It's all about people. It's about making connections with other people and fostering communities and building upon those relationships. So just think about it that way. I mean, it might seem very simple, but that little nuanced switch in your head. Yet, I think the thing I'd like to sort of emphasize is that networking isn't really just about how many people do you know. It's what's the quality of the relationship that you have with those people that you know. Networking is about finding a match. It's about seeing what types of people are out there, trying to grow and foster relationships, start new relationships with either like-minded individuals or people that challenge you, or your match might not be just like you; they could be your complement, or sometimes even your opposite. Um, that bring things out in you. I mean, if you think about even romantic relationships, I mean, you're looking for that person that pushes you, that helps you grow, right? And networking, in a lot of ways, is the same way. You're looking for the matches that will help your career grow, I guess, in this way. So it's not what you know or even who you know, but who knows you. And I think that's another distinction that we should make here, is that there are going to be instances where, because you've fostered relationships and that person knows you now, you can begin to have opportunities come to you that might not have otherwise been there. And being very active and engaged in trying to build your network is something that will passively help you over time. So, what are some reasons to network? Things that come to mind immediately to me are to expand your reach, to just kind of build the amount of people you know. So in this way, it's more about quantity. It's about being able to reach out to more people than you know now, and be able to sort of whether that's to potentially find a job, or uh, what have you, to find work, to find new opportunities. You want to expand your reach to as many people as you can, so that you can have it's better to know more people in some ways than it is just to know one or two, right? Seek out like-minded people. I think finding people that you can relate to, it doesn't have to be on every issue. It probably won't be, but finding those commonalities and finding those things that interest you are really great ways to sort of build your network with the people that you want to be in your network. It's not good enough to just know people, right? It's about knowing the people that sort of click with you. To practice communication is another really good one, right? I mean, I think as designers and architects, we really need to be able to communicate well with potentially strangers, right? If we are up for a new job, you're looking to get a new project and you're interviewing for that project, or you're interviewing for a new job in general, or you're looking to build your career, you need to be able to communicate well to other people, right? Even on a day to day, be able to communicate your ideas, your thoughts to your team, to your peers, to your boss, etc., to the public at large, even. Search for a job is a really big one. I think that's one of the reasons why people tend to network in general, or is one of the main ones, because the more people you know, if you want to make a change in the profession, or you want to just have enough people sort of in your network, so that if something was to happen to your job, you have another opportunity to move on to a job more easily. It's easier to ask or talk to somebody in another firm that you know, if you're looking for a job there, than it is to cold call somebody for instance. Establish your presence is another really good one. You might be new to a community, and it would be a great way to establish your presence in that community as a new person, to begin your networking process, to show up to things, to be engaged, to deliver value to the other people around you, so that they want to bring you into their network. That, you know, the people that have been there for longer want to sort of pull you into their own circles, if you will. Mentorship is another one. I've found actually very recently that this is a new networking opportunity for myself. I'm at a point in my career where I've been approached by one or two people that have just out of the blue asked me to either mentor them sort of moderate to long term, or have just been asking me for advice. And I think that that's also a good way to sort of build relationships, is to not necessarily ask outright for something, but to build connections with people, see sort of what their skill sets are, understand what types of people they are, and then seek out the people that you respect and ask them for advice, or, you know, give advice when people are asking for it. It's a really good way to build long-lasting professional relationships, I think. So those are some of the reasons for networking, right? But I think in reality, even though most people probably think of networking in sort of black and white terms, like either I know you or I don't, I think of it more in phases, for the same reason that I think of networking in terms of relationship building. It's really about connecting with a person one-on-one, right? So you don't just go up to a person and say, I'm networking with you like a robot. And, and just say, okay, well, now we've networked and now this is over. So, okay, great. You're part of my network. I mean, that's not, that's not real. That's not real. You know, I mean, it's not like it's a switch that you turn on and off. You have to work at it, and you have to foster it, right? So, the phases, I think, it really comes down to just a few things. But if you think about it, this is really how you network. There's the introduction. There's the sort of, let's say, first meeting, whether it's at an event or through friends or whoever. However it happens, you know, you have that first meeting, and you know, it's probably a very especially if you connect with them, it's a very positive situation, right? And I would say the next phase is more or less the follow-up phase, and that's after you've met the person, you've gotten to know them, and the follow-up is really more about meeting them again, seeing if there's sort of other ways that you can connect with them, whether that's online or by just physically meeting them again, or at all. You know, the introduction can actually be online first, if that's, you know, how it happens, through LinkedIn or social media or something like that. The follow-up could actually be, hey, I'm going to this networking event, or I'm going to this party, or I'm going to whatever. Are you going to be there? Hey, let's meet up. So, you know, you're building that relationship, right? And then I think the next level is sort of this support level. It's the level where you are offering your help, or you're offering your sort of ideas to their situation, the other person's situation. Again, talking about relationships one-on-one, it's more of, how can I help you? You know, giving more than you're asking for. And, you know, a lot of times that'll be reciprocated anyway. We're like, oh no, don't worry about it, I'll help you, or whatever. And building those connections lead to the last piece of the phase, which is trust. And I'm trying to keep these fairly simple so that they're easy to understand levels. But I think if you see all four of these together, you'll understand that, you know, it really does come up to, you know, introduction, sort of that middle phase after that, where you see them a couple times maybe, then you can offer your support, or something might happen in their lives where um, can be of service to them. And then after a while, you'll begin to build a trusting bond with that person. So, like I said, the introduction could really be anything from a casual meeting, or it could be something that is set up for you, or something that um, you meet somebody in a social situation. A follow up and is more like, hey, let's go do something else together. Let's sort of, you both sort of agreed in very indirect kind of terms that you want to meet again, or hang out, or do something that will uh, you know even if it's just a conversation. It could just be a conversation online, engaging in the discussion that the other person's having. Could be a really great way to just keep building that. Now, as you get higher up here, you get into these levels where you want to support the other person. You want to be there for them. You want to help them as best you can. And then at the end, you've built so much trust that you feel like you can kind of take on the world to some degree. As you build up more and more support and trust, the more sort of opportunities you have to really engage and sort of create a stronger circle of people around you that will become your very sort of trusted friends and colleagues. And the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. I think this is another interesting quote, because to me it says again that it's all about people. It's about creating relationships. It's not about looking for tangible things. It's about putting in the work, engaging with actual people, and fostering relationships. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Like, who are you actually networking with? Who are good people to sort of start these relationships with potentially? Well, you have friends. At least I hope you have friends. And those friends have other friends. So I would say that, one of the best places to start looking for like-minded people are people that you're already sort of like-minded with, right? They're potentially already creating and fostering their own networks with people that, they sort of get along with anyway. And you could potentially get along with those people too. Now, I want to step back a little bit, because I think one of the things I want to emphasize here is that this isn't just about, I don't want this to feel like a psychology 101 course where this is more about just relationship building, but stepping this back and saying, okay, well, how could this relate to professional networking? As an architect, how would this help me? Well, when you think about some of the relationships that you have, whether it's at the office, or even just thinking to, it depends sort of on where you are in your career, but I think in general, having friends that have other friends, you'll just start to notice that people who begin to trust you are more than willing to stick their necks out for you, which in turn connects you with other people. And because that first friend trusts you so much, you are able to sort of inch your way into another person's network and another person's circle of friends, or people that they trust. So just by having those relationships that are really strong, you can begin to create connections with a whole bunch of other people. It's potentially exponentially increasing in terms of the rate at which you will get more people, right? So if you think about it this way, you can start with a couple friends that you really are And I'm talking about friends potentially that are both in and out of the profession of architecture. People that are, very supportive of you, whether they're architects or not, could lead to other opportunities, whether that's your first job at or first project. People are putting additions on their houses, or they want to build a house for, their retirement, or they, fill in the blank sort of, these opportunities can kind of come very naturally if you just keep building your relationship socially. So friends would be a very good place to start, because you don't know if your next opportunity is just going to kind of come out of the woodworks because you just happen to know people and you happen to know them very well. So they might start to say, hey, this person is really great. How about you look, they're just having a friendly conversation with one of their other friends, and they're talking about, oh, well, I want to do this project. Oh, well, I happen to know a person, and then it just stems from there. Alma mater, I think, is a really great one, right? To be a licensed architect, you need to have a college degree, which assumes that this could even be high school alma mater, but really a lot of the strongest relationships you might create are actually in college. So think about the people that you went to college with that weren't necessarily your best friends, right? They were acquaintances, and they were, you were friendly, but you weren't necessarily the best of friends. Now, what would happen if you fostered those relationships a little bit more? What would happen if you reached out to those people that are still, clinging onto your Facebook list that you didn't get rid of because you either because of nostalgia or whatever, but you see what's going on in their lives, and you have the opportunities to reach out, but you never do. What if you did that and you started building those kinds of relationships? So that person already knows you. You already have some sort of rapport with them that's relatively friendly, and you could build those relationships up even more. The people that really care about you and love you, that are your deepest friends from school, probably already have that connection with you, and you should continue to foster those. But think about the relationships you already have in your life that are sort of just below that, or maybe a couple steps below that, but they're close enough, or they could potentially become very great, not necessarily close friends, but very great allies in terms of your career. People that are rooting for you, and that you can root for as well. Those are the kinds of people that you could have a very easy time sort of engaging with, and you already have a commonality. It's architecture and it's design. Talk about the newest project from your favorite architect that got built, or reply to some sort of post that they've just shared on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and start to engage in those conversations. I'm amazed at how many people have responded to me in that way that I didn't really get along with in college, but they have a different mentality now that they're at a different point in their lives, and that's important. Even if you're still in school, you still could build those relationships up now, and as you get farther into your career, they could become even better. So social events. This seems pretty self-explanatory. You're trying to meet people, so you need to go places where people are. This could be, and when I say social events, I mean more of things that are, I don't want to say just networking events, but things that might be masked as networking events, but they're really mixers, or they could even be sort of an after party for a speaker that came into town to talk about something, or it could be maybe something that's a little bit more engaging professionally. It could be a good way to go. I think it's sort of a mix here of the types of social events. Maybe you're just a social butterfly. You can kind of go to anything and thrive in those environments. I think if you do have those abilities, and you do have those traits where you're just really a very engaging person naturally, uh, take advantage of these situations and really try to meet people and really listen and engage with them. If you're a little bit more like me, where I am sort of a wallflower and uh, I'm slowly getting away from that. Force yourself to really talk to people you've never met before. If there's a dinner party or there's a sort of a gala event locally for the AIA or whatever, I'll tend to actually now sit down with people I've never met before, and it's great because it really allows you to, even if you don't build a full lifetime commitment relationship with this person, professionally or socially, it's still worth the interaction to talk to somebody like that. I have had conversations with many architects in the area that are in my local area that are more than happy to talk about things that they've done or things that they're interested in. And you can learn a lot even just from engaging in conversations that you might not have thought of doing otherwise. And I think that's really a big thing here too, is switching your mindset to doing those kinds of things and having those kinds of conversations with people, because that allows you to um, not only learn more, but to sort of build up your confidence and um, you know build your network one person at a time in a way that's very meaningful. Professional groups, I think this is a really good one too. I'm probably a little bit biased because I've been sort of a diehard AIA person for probably the better half of 6 or 7 years now. Um, but I think those kinds of groups, whether it's uh, the American Institute of Architects or it's um, it could really be any kind of group. I'm thinking of like CSI or BOMA or any of these groups that are professionally engaging. They might not even be directly related to you, but they're sort of off in the wings related to you in a way. Engaging in those sorts of communities could be another way. They don't have to be directly related to architecture. They could be related to something that's the built environment if you're interested in still pursuing professional, very directly professional networking opportunities. Community groups. I like this picture right here because it's, to me, it speaks to people volunteering for things. These are all what look like lifeguards, and they're protecting their community and they're helping their community. They're volunteering for a cause that's bigger than themselves, and they're giving back to something at the same time while they're sort of building relationships with each other person in the circle. And it speaks to also the kind of person that you could be, or if you are already doing this, the person that you are. This is one of those things that also looks really great on a resume, or when you're talking to people. You do get something back out of it naturally, where people really respect the fact that you are taking time out of your day to help others and um, to engage in the community in a different way that is very helpful to that community. So this could be a really good opportunity. The things that come to mind with this are, it doesn't have to be as literal as lifeguard or firefighter or policeman. It could be um, something more like Habitat for Humanity, helping your local church, helping us, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or something like that, where you're doing something for others that is, or it could be a medical cause like the fight against Alzheimer's or the fight against cancer or something like that. It could be something that potentially you're passionate about or you want to know more about, and you're just helping others. I love this picture. Hobbies. Um, I think some of the best friendships that you can get are from uh, expanding on or really diving into your hobbies. I think for me, I'm very much a nerd and a video gamer, and I I just love it. It's one of those things where I know that when I'm playing the game with other people and I'm doing things as a group with other people, that I can relate to those people because they're already very interested in that subject. They're very, as dorky and nerdy as it could be for other people, it's really interesting for me because it's something that I'm passionate about. So I make that connection with other people, and then as you sort of grow those connections with people that like the same hobbies that you do, you can start to build those relationships, and other connections might happen. Whereas maybe the professional relationships are a little bit more directly going to relate to you getting a like an actual position in another firm, or um, allowing you to grow your career that way. But these kinds of relationships could potentially be ways to engage with a client, engage with um, a public official or something like that, where you don't really have any other context other than something outside of work that really sort of brings your connection with that other person together. And I really love this quote by Simon Sinek. The value of networking is not measured by the number of people we meet, but by the number of people we introduce to others. And that's another point that I like to make, is that we can do a lot of different things to uh, push ourselves ahead. But I think the one thing that we need to think about too is that it's about fostering the careers of others at the same time. People will help you as you help them, and other people will step up and be that person that they want you to be. Um, excuse me. They will step up and help you in ways that you want to help them, and vice versa. And it just sort of, you know, I just generally believe that if you put positivity out in the world, positivity will come back to you. And I really think that that is something that I've seen over and over again in my own relationships with peers and colleagues, and in the lives of others. Giving back and helping other people will help you. So here we go. The do's of networking. I think one thing I'd like to do is just tell a really quick story for the do's of networking and the don'ts of networking, and we'll get into a list of each and we sort of explore this a little bit more. So the reason why I wanted to look at networking in particular is because I really think it's a powerful thing, right? I'll give you a really good example from my own career that networking was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I was working at a firm, and I had been working there for 6 or 7 years. And over the course of that time, maybe 2 or 3 years in, I had started volunteering at the as part of the AIA, the local American Institute of Architects, Buffalo, Western New York chapter. And I became a board member, and I got really involved, and I worked my damnedest to help other people and make sure that the chapter was functioning as best as it could. And I'm still doing that, but it's a it was a passive process. People started to know me. I realized that there was an advantage of being at the table with a lot of the other people that worked at pretty much every other firm in town. Um, just being allowed to sit at that table and being treated as an equal to uh, just because I wanted to help is a really powerful thing. And what happened over time is that because I had served the chapter so long, over a course of many years, and people really got to passively know me at events, whether it was things that I made or things that I showed up at. Um, I, at some point, maybe 2 years ago, started looking for another job, just because I thought it was time to move on. And I had been in that position for, like I said, 6 or 7 years. But in that time, this is the key part. In that in almost the entirety of that time, I had been doing this networking without even really calling it networking. I was just doing what I wanted to do and creating connections with other people professionally. And it was, I don't want to say it was easy to move to my next position, but let me just put it this way: the power of networking. I slaved and slaved over this portfolio that I thought was going to get me this next job. And what happened was it ended up that I got a new position at the firm that I'm at now because I just knew the partner. I knew he knew me, I knew him. It was just a very clear match. He knew the kind of person I was because of the effort that I had put forth in my professional community service, and he could understand who I was, and he saw that over time. I hadn't really interacted with him too much outside of that environment in the AIA sense, but he knew exactly what I was about because I showed up and I pursued my interests to help people um, in the profession, and I didn't even open up my portfolio, and I got hired. So and I knew him because of the things that I saw him do over the course of many years. And those are the kinds of networking things that are really, really positive. And I can't stress enough, you don't know what opportunities, it's not like I said, okay, well, I'm going to join the AIA and then exactly 4 or 5 years from now, I'm going to have a new job. It's not like it worked that way. But because I put in the effort to get to know people, to understand who they are, to understand what they're all about, it came back to me in a very positive way. So, with that said, I'd say that the do's of networking are be really open minded. If you're closed minded to all this stuff, or you're closed minded to even people that you might not immediately jive with, you might be setting yourself up for failure in terms of this networking thing. You might want to uh, be open-minded enough that even if you don't hit it off the first time with another peer in your community, especially if it's a very small community, you want to be very open-minded for the potential of the kinds of relationships you could foster. Get involved. Like I think my story, I hope really spoke to you, and you understand that getting involved and being present is very, very important. It's one of the most important things you can do. Um, just being somewhere is sometimes enough, because people see who you are and understand who you are just because they're interacting with you. Be patient. This is a long game. This isn't like something you're going to be able to do overnight. You're going to have to work at it and reach out to people and keep moving, and just don't get bogged down. You just have to be patient, and things will happen over time. Listen, you need to just this isn't a one person show. You are definitely trying to help and understand the other person as well. You don't make friends with somebody else just by like yammering at them. You listen to their issues and their feelings on the world, and you begin to understand who that person is very very deeply, and you understand how to react to them and how to understand what you should and shouldn't say around them. And you get to hear their history, and you get to understand. You can even take from that the paths that they've chosen and decide whether or not you want to pursue the same paths or different paths or whatever. Everybody has different experiences, and it's really a good idea to listen to them so that you can understand where you go, right? Be present. Don't be absent minded. Be aware of what's going on, not only in the local arena, but sort of nationally and globally. The reason I say that is because having all those ideas and understanding where we are in the world really will help you not only bring a good conversation to the table, but it will also allow you to have empathy for the other person's situation. I know that my situation is not anything like a lot of other people's, and I understand that they come from different backgrounds and different things, and I want to be respectful of that, and I want to listen and understand what's going on. So being present is very, very key because not even just talking to somebody one on one, but being present sort of in general will help you create better connections and be yourself. If you're not yourself and you're just trying to, be somebody else that you're not, it will show. It'll show like like you're just trying to play somebody, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to show up to an event or something like that, meet somebody for the first time, and you know be somebody that you're completely not, because then you're selling yourself short and you're not helping either person, right? So the don'ts of networking. I have a very good story for this as well. There was uh, a actually, this is more of a social media story. So beware of social media sometimes. There was a young lady who had reached out to me on LinkedIn and direct messaged me. She didn't know really who I was and asked me about a position. And, that's not too crazy, except for the fact that she asked about a position that was not only not at the firm I worked for, but it was also not in the same city or state or part of the country I lived in. So I respectfully uh, responded and said, "Hey, I know that we've somehow been connected here on LinkedIn, but I don't really understand what you would like me to do. I don't work for this place. I don't even know anybody who works at this particular office for this place. Is there, like, I'm sorry, but, and then as just as a piece of advice, I said, hey, just be careful when you're sending this stuff out, because if you're sending this out, shotgunning it across all of LinkedIn, you're going to burn some bridges. I wasn't really offended by that. I was just like, I don't think this is going to work out for you. So, I'm just trying to help you out. And then I thought that was the end of it. But then I got another message, and it was more or less like, well, hey, I'm looking for something. Here's my portfolio. It's like, maybe you don't understand what's going on here. Like, I appreciate that you're very passionate about trying to get a job, but I just basically called you out on the fact that you weren't paying attention in the first place, and you're kind of not paying attention again because you're sending me this anyway. And it's just like, I don't really think that's working out. So just be careful when you're networking, because there's definitely ways to burn bridges, and if you burn them, they are permanently gone. They're toast. So the don'ts of networking: don't expect anything in return. I think that's a really important point. If you expect something in return, like it's, your gift is being part of their network, uh, people can sniff that out right away, and they're going to think that you're just some sort of pompous ass or whatever. You don't want to seem like that. You want to just be very genuine. When people are networking, I think it sometimes gets a bad rap, because when I think of networking, sometimes I think of um, people with name tags, and they're at like some sort of event, but it's a very sort of fake. Um, People know what you're doing there, and it's you want to, in a bad way, I guess. You want to be there, and you want to be very genuine, and you want to be yourself, and don't expect anything, because if you do, then people will just not respond very well. Uh, don't overwhelm the other person. This is not really overwhelm yourself; it's overwhelm the other person. So don't um, don't push too hard. Let things sort of develop and have patience. This is the long game. Don't give up. There will be either people you just don't connect with. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to connect with every single person on the planet. You won't. It's okay. You want to make connections that are meaningful, that you think will also help bring you up and make you a better person by, interacting with that other person. Don't give up and just keep at it. Don't be pushy. Um, Sort of goes into overwhelm, but I think it's a little bit different. Um, don't insist on too much. Don't push your agendas onto other people. You know, it's just about creating connections. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. Don't disengage. Be very present. Listen to people. Understand what they're saying and where they're coming from. It's very key to not disengage, because if you start to disengage and you start looking at other people, that person that's speaking to you will start to realize that you don't care, and they'll start to not care. And if they feel like you don't care, then they're not going to necessarily introduce you to the next person or the person after that. As soon as you burn that bridge, it's not only burnt for that person, it's burnt for potentially every single other person that they could have introduced you to. So don't disengage. And don't be impatient. Like I said, you have to be patient. You have to let things happen over time, and don't don't try to make it happen faster than it has to. I mean, like I said, some of the most positive things that I've networked with people before have happened over the course of many years. And it wasn't necessarily a lot of effort in any of those years, because I was just doing my own thing and they were doing their own thing. And every now and then we would understand that, there was a connection here or there, but it wasn't something that I had to actively, like, okay, I didn't talk to this person yesterday, so I have to talk to them today. Oh, no, I didn't talk to them today. I have to talk to them. It's not, don't get stressed out about it. You just want to have the sort of introduction connection, and then foster from there. Maybe ask them to lunch or coffee every now and then, and just pick their brain about a subject, talk to them, have conversations online, just very gradually. So, overview. Um, I think in general, it's really important to realize that networking is about people first. I know I've probably like hit you over the head with this the whole evening, and I apologize if that's what it feels like, but it's really about building relationships with individual people, and those people will in turn give you introductions and help you with the relationships you have to other people, and this will just keep growing, and eventually you will just know a whole bunch of people well. They will be more than willing to help you because you've helped them. And it's very much about giving back to those people, so that the feelings are reciprocated, and you're very respectful of their time and their energy that's put into the relationship that they have with you. So, I think to close, this is a really good quote. A simple hello can lead to a million things. And if I leave you with one thing really for this presentation, it's that you making the effort to introduce yourself, tell people who you are, um, listen to their stories, can lead to so many other opportunities. So, I hope this was a really great introduction for you to networking. It's sort of general, sort of basic. What I'd like to do is to wrap this up with a series of questions if you guys have any, or more than happy to answer things or suggest things to you if you have a particular situation. What I'd like to say is, if you're here live, definitely wait for a minute or two, because I will be showing you a link to those bonuses that I told you about at the very beginning. So stick around with me for just a few more minutes. I know that we sort of started off on a rocky foot there with the tech issues and time issues, but if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Answer them for maybe a minute or two here. Or if you things that I can improve on or things like that, I'd be more than happy to hear from those too, because I'm always trying to make these better. So if there's anything that you think could be improved, I'm really open to that. Or if you have, um, like I said, having any questions, I'm here. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I think the one reason why I felt, just as a side note, compelled to um, talk about this is because I feel like in my time, especially with the AIA, that I really have. I'm not a a perfect sort of networker by any means, but just I feel that engaging with the community and the profession in that way has really helped me build relationships. Oh, all right. We have a question. Any specific advice for really shy people? um, well, I'd say that coming from a place where I am also a very shy person, like I said, I'm a wallflower by nature, or at least I think I used to be. Maybe not so much anymore. Um, I think the thing to do in that case is find maybe start with interests that you have. So if it's more related to hobbies and you're thinking about practicing your networking skills and relationship building with people, like that Star Wars slide that I had before, where everybody was dressed up. You want to find those things with people that are they're not necessarily these. This networking does not have to be one type. It doesn't have to be just professional relationships. Professional relationships could come from the next level or the next tier of that person's network that they have. They might know an engineer, they might know an architect or a designer that you could have worked with or whatever. And it's about the opportunities for other people. Uh, do you use, so I hope that answers the question. I would say hobbies of those topics that we were talking about earlier, those would be really great to sort of incorporate, because they're things that you're already interested in. And when you can talk about something with confidence, that will make you a little bit less shy, right? So I think those would be the first places to start. And as you build your confidence around people like that, you go and you just go to something completely different. Maybe you give yourself a goal to meet certain people or a certain amount of people in a given amount of time at like an event that you would never see yourself going to. Do you use anything besides social networks and your contacts app to keep track of who you've met, when, etc.? That's a really good question. I don't necessarily do that as well as I should, probably, but I have started do that naturally because of conversations I'm having more and more. I'm in a particularly interesting situation where I have a blog and I'm starting to become more social and a little bit more engaged with people that I've never met with before. So I have to keep track of that on some level, right? Just because I like to follow up with people, or when we talk again, know like what their story is. So I would say that having some sort of list, maybe for not for everybody, but for the people that you are sort of that next level down from your best friends, the people who you are either trying to actively engage, or let's say you're trying to find a mentor. You're going to want to sort of very mildly profile people that you might be interested in talking to. When you have those conversations that are very directed, like you would have with a mentor, you want to keep track of what's happening, because you you want to know what their input is, and you want to know what their backstory is, so that you can be just as helpful to them. Um, so I think, depending on what your situation is, you could keep something, but I wouldn't necessarily think of doing it for very close people, because there's this weird sort of situation, and you probably would agree, I think, that as you get very close to somebody, at some point you just know them, right? At some point you just sort of know their quirks, you know their things they're really interested in. And in a professional networking sense, I think the same thing happens. Like I am very close with some of the people that I work with because I click with them and I know sort of who they are. But I think that the checklists and the sort of other things are very helpful for that sort of either you're really interested in getting to know somebody more, or you are sort of in that in between area where it's important to still remember all those quirks, but you're not really quite there yet with a full on sort of relationship or friendship or what have you. All right, so that was a very long-winded answer. I hope that answered that. Um, but yeah, I would say that I'm starting to get into that much more, and I think tracking things in a whatever way that works best for you is probably a good thing to start doing, especially if you're taking networking a little bit more seriously. So, are there any more questions? I think that might be it. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here live. I really appreciate it. And if you're not here live, I'm sorry because, you know, tough luck, I guess. Um, so, thanks for being awesome. As you guys are probably aware, I have the blog evolvingarchitect.com. I write there once a week or more, and on topics just like this. So if you're interested in sort of what I've been talking about, or learning more about me, or more about subjects like this, then please visit that website. And basically, I just want to say again, this is provided by Evolving Architect and AIA EPs. This has been Intro to Networking. So, thank you so much again for attending. What I've basically done is if you go to evolvingarchitect.com, and it's not relations hip, it's relationship. So evolvingarchitect.com/relationship, you'll be able to download two things. You'll be able to download the slides for this entire presentation, and you'll also be able to download a workbook, which is, I really like the way it turned out. It's not only a summary of the major points here, but it's also further reading because as part of this, what I've done is really engaged in a lot of research for these things. So I want to share a lot of that research with you guys, and I think they're very good articles. And actually, one of them is a video that I really love, a speech for Simon Sinek, who was one of the people I quoted earlier. He's awesome. He's really great at sort of explaining these kinds of things. So if you're really interested in this topic, you want to know more, all those things are in there. And even at the end of the workbook, it sort of gives you a couple points to say, here are some action items that could help you really take this forward. So I hope that you really engage with that workbook. And sorry for saying engage. I feel like I've said that 40 times now. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And if you could, please leave a comment. I'm not looking for praise or anything like that, but if there's things that you think that should be adjusted for next time, or things that you'd like to see more of, things that didn't work, I'd really be more than happy to take those comments. Or you could email me directly at mike@evolvingarchitect.com. If you have any thoughts, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me make each one of these better. I feel like each time they get better and better and better. I think last month's was probably one of the best, and I hope this was really good for you guys too. I love doing this, and I just, as we move forward into the year, there's going to be one a month. I already have the schedule done, and we're just going to keep rolling, just keep going through this. A lot of it's going to be, it's half and half with ARE and half with other topics. So, there's more than enough for everybody. And I can't wait to talk to you about this stuff some more. So please go to evolvingarchitect.com/relationship. Let me know if you guys have issues with the downloads. I don't think you will, but if you do, let me know and I'll fix it, and I'll send you the stuff directly anyway. The link will only be live through Saturday, so please do this either now or tomorrow or whatever. But I'm going to take it down as of Sunday. So I hope that was good enough for you guys. Enjoy your evening, and thanks for being awesome. Thanks, guys. As part of this, what I've done is really engage in a lot of research for